So last night the Packers, my Packers right there representing, took out division rival Detroit Lions 35-17. You may ask yourself, Steve, are you thrilled about that? And my answer to you would be no shot. So first half, based on my coaching duties, I was not able to physically watch the first half. I did go back and watch the first half highlights. I did catch the whole second half. Obviously, I caught the better of the two halves if you're a Packers fan. The Lions defense softened up a bit. Aaron Rodgers was able to push it downfield a little bit more. The defense did not give up a point in the second half. Here are my big issues. Right out of the gate, let's call a spade a spade. The Lions are probably going to, at season's end, I would be surprised if they did not end up with a top 5 draft pick, which means they are one of the 5 worst teams in the NFL. I'll be surprised if they win 4 games. 4 games. They just don't have that much talent. Their receivers, Quentin Cephas was their leading receiver outside of T.J. Hawkinson, who is an absolute stud. Their talent just isn't there. So I would not be surprised if they win 4 games this year. And the Packers were down at halftime 17-14. Jared Goff was on fire. When they chose to run the ball at the Lions, Packers didn't really do a great job of stopping it. They just really wanted to pass, which I don't really agree with, since their weapons outside of T.J. Hawkinson are pretty bad or just young. Aaron Jones, I'm just gonna say it. I will put every loss going forward, and I don't care what the situation is, because Aaron Jones is a playmaker. I'm going to put it directly on Matt LaFleur going forward. If Aaron Jones doesn't get at least 15 touches in every game, he should get 15 minimum every game. I give it to him more, but at least 15 touches between carries and catches, because, again, I said it last week after the loss to the Saints, they have two playmakers on offense. And that is Davante Adams, who against really good teams is going to get doubled the whole time, and Aaron Jones. That's it. Those are their weapons. So he needs to touch the ball 15 times. He needs at least minimum. Aaron Rodgers was efficient. He made some very nice passes downfield, missed a couple that he would admit. You could see they cut back to him, and he knew that he missed 2 downfield, just overshot guys a couple times. I think he only had like 4 or 5 incompletions. 2 of them were just shots downfield, but he did make some nice plays. That pass he had to Davante Adams early on in the third quarter, I think on their first drive, was just a dime. A dime, dropped it in a bucket. Him and Russell Wilson throw probably the best deep balls in the NFL today. That touchdown pass, he had a nice touchdown pass to Tanyan. He went with degree of difficulty. Robert Tanyan was covered very, very tightly, and it was 2 high safeties, so the 2 safeties were closing in. Very, very small margin for error. Ford got it in there, and it was a touchdown, but he also had Alan Lazard, who had a big, I think his guy might have got picked a little bit, but he had a lot of room to run, so he probably could have took the easy one to Alan Lazard, who would have went for the touchdown. But chose to go with Tanyan. Again, here are the things. It's like a broken record here with the Packers. It's the same thing every time. With Zadarius Smith out, they couldn't really get much of a pass rush. I don't know. Couldn't get anything on Goff. Goff was, all the time in the world, most of the game. Not having that athletic linebacker to not only help with the run, but the NFC North, if you look around at the other teams, they all have these young, athletic tight ends. T.J. Hawkinson, young, athletic. You are going to need someone like an Isaiah Simmons or one of these athletic linebackers that can cover him. We don't have that. Irv Smith is hurt for the Vikings, but he is a young, athletic tight end. You're going to need someone to be able to cover him that we just don't draft. In Chicago, Cole Kmet, not as athletic as those two, but Cole Kmet is going to end up being a good tight end, I believe. So that is a glaring weakness that we don't have still after 2 years of not having it, making it to the NFC Championship game. Why would the front office? Why would they just go ahead and address that? Why would they try to get someone who could fit that role to help with the run that we can't stop and tight ends that we can't cover? Why? And then secondary, at this point we all know that no one's throwing at Jair Alexander. It's just not smart. He's he's a top 5 cornerback in the NFL. They pick out a guy who, again, had a really bad NFC Championship game against the Bucks. Was a free agent, and we decided to re-sign him, Kevin King. Kevin King, when they drafted him a couple years ago, he was almost like a Richard Sherman type deal, long, not super fast, right? He's not, but long guy, long arms. Well, that's when Richard Sherman was when he was the top cornerback in the game. The NFL was a little different. You had guys like Megatron, you had big receivers. Now it's transitioned into guys like Tyreek Hill, Marquise Brown. Like, you don't have these big. You have these guys that can run fast in a straight line, that can just work you with their footwork off the line and then just take off. They can get their space within that 5 yards and just blow by you. Kevin King doesn't get the job done. Kevin King should not be on the field. And I don't know if J.J. Stokes is going to get the job done. He had a couple plays down in garbage time in the fourth quarter. But I don't know if he's going to be any better than Kevin King. But at this point, I would like him to be on the field more than Kevin King. And whoever the guy after him is, I would like him to be on the field more than Kevin King. I'll be honest with you. I'll be okay if Kevin King, if I never see number 20 on the field again, to be honest with you. Nothing against Kevin King. He's just been getting burnt. He's just been getting worked way too much for my liking. Never thought they should have brought him back. And, he got, again, a couple times yesterday, there's a Detroit Lions receiver in the first half running wide open or with five yards of separation. And who's the guy chasing him down? Oh, it's number 20, Kevin King. He just can't get it done now. I need him to go. Need him to get off the field, and I think I speak for most Packers fans that will agree with that sentiment. Like, he just needs to sit down, get Jair some Gatorade, and just stay off the field as much as possible. Rashawn Gary didn't do anything. I really need him, especially with Zadarius Smith out, really need him to kind of step up and do his thing because, let's be honest, pass rush was pathetic yesterday. Offensive line for the Packers looked decent at most times. Aaron Rodgers got sacked actually 3 or 4 times, but he did have time. When he did get time, like some of those sacks were coverage sacks, because that's going to take me to the point after this. Are receivers that, again, just like the middle linebacker to help the run and stop tight ends, like that's been an issue. Receivers have been an issue since Jordy got old and Randall got old the first time, and Devontae came into his own. Like Devontae Adams was the last great receiver that they drafted. Devontae Adams has been in the league for 7 years now, maybe longer. This might be his 8th year. Let me get clarification on that. This is his 8th season, so he was legit the last good receiver they drafted 8 years ago. They had their run where they were really good. They were almost like the Steelers. You draft Jordy late. You had Greg Jennings. You drafted him in the 2nd round back in the day. And again, this was more Ted Thompson. You had Randall Cobb. You drafted these guys. James Jones. Like, you found they were able to find good receivers. And that ain't the case anymore because, let's see, receiving last night. Okay, Devontae Adams, 8 for 121. Tanyan, he's a tight end, 3 for 52. He's a good tight end, not great tight end. Aaron Jones, 6 for 48. He actually 3 touchdowns in the red zone. Oh, Randall Cobb, 3 for 26. And A.J. Dillon, 1 for 8. If you're thinking to yourself, outside of Devontae Adams and Randall Cobb, did any other receivers catch a pass? You'd be right, because no other receivers caught a pass. None. MVS targeted 4 times, no catches. Equanimous St. Brown, who I was high on, but obviously no longer. He didn't have a catch. He was targeted once with no catch. I don't know if Amari Rodgers saw the field at all, but like Lazard, no targets, no catches. Like I don't know. I mean, staring at it, not in black and white, in color, but our receivers, again, outside of Devontae Adams, are subpar. They are not great. They are subpar. And granted, I said that, Alan Lazard could have had a catch and potentially a touchdown. Aaron Rodgers chose to go with Robert Tonyan, but listen, if I was Aaron Rodgers, I wouldn't be really looking at them either because they don't get open. And they get me sacked a couple times because they don't get open when Devontae Adams is getting doubled and triple teamed. They need help. I said it last week. I'll say it again. You take Devontae Adams out of this pass-catching group, literally the worst by far group of pass catchers, tight ends, receivers in the NFL. In the NFL. You can't dispute it. You cannot dispute that. So, thank God the Packers got a win. I bet the over. The over was 49.5. I figured Aaron Rodgers was going to at least put up 28 after last week. And he had a good game. I mean, 22, 27, 255, 4 touchdowns, no picks. He's back on it. I knew he was going to put up at least 28, but I knew our defense stinks. I thought we were going to give up at least 24, and it looked like we were on pace for that when the Lions scored 17 in the first half. Defense wrangled it in a little bit in the second half, didn't give up any, which is a positive sign against a bad team, which I'm not hanging my hat too much on that. My issue is next week, it's the 49ers. It's the 49ers, and I feel like this defense is worse than the defense that the 49ers absolutely ripped apart in the NFC Championship game 2 years ago. So I, as a Packers fan, happy with the win. I'm a little worried about next week. The only good news is the 49ers do not have a healthy running back, but at this point, against the Packers defense and the 49ers, it doesn't matter. It doesn't seem to matter who their running back is. They plug any dude in there, and he goes for 100. Again, George Kittle, can we cover him? I don't know. I don't think so because we don't have a linebacker that's athletic enough. I mean, you could put Amos or Savage on him, but they're just not going to be big enough. So let's see how that goes. Defensively, we might be able to get him. I mean, Jared Goff threw for 350 on him. So I'm not entirely sure how their defense is. I think they stifled the Eagles this week, but again, I'm not really. The Eagles beat up on the Falcons, so we're going to see. Going to be a good game. Aaron Rodgers, let's be honest, Aaron Rodgers is going to need to be on his game. He's going to not, like those 2 long passes that he missed yesterday out of the 5 that he had incomplete, he can't miss them against the Niners because the margin of error is going to be so small because if you go 3 and out, your first 2 drives, it's probably going to be 14-0, or it's going to be 10-0. I've seen this so much with Aaron Rodgers with the Packers under Aaron Rodgers, which is why it frustrates me so much because he gets such a bad rap for how he is in the playoffs. And there are games, literally, I think back to the NFC Championship game a couple years ago when they played the Falcons. Man, I think he was on the field once. By the time he comes out for the second time, it's 10-0 because they're fumbling, they're missing field goals, yada, yada, yada. Like, he gets a bad rap for things that are out of his control, and it's tough. You don't ask any other quarterback to be perfect. Tom Brady doesn't have to be perfect. Patrick Mahomes doesn't need to be perfect. Aaron Rodgers, with this team, needs to be perfect if they want to win games. He can't leave points out there if they want to win games because they're just not that talented. They are not that talented, and I'm saying this as a diehard fan. They are not that talented defensively. They are not that talented offensively outside of a few key guys. It's my deal. I want to hear from my Packers fans. You let me know if I'm just negative, because I can be just negative, doom and gloom about my team. I don't want to get too excited. And granted, this would not be one of those times where I'd get too excited. And in the past I have. Like when I thought they were rolling, when I thought the defense was looking good and the offense was looking good, I'd come on here in front of this camera and I would get super confident. But I'm not confident in anything they're doing. A 16 A 16-point win against a bad football team when you were down 3 at halftime is not getting me there, especially knowing that a very good San Francisco 49ers team is the next team we got to play. And do we have to go there? Hold on. Well, at San Francisco, when that seems to be an issue under Matt LaFleur, when they travel to California and Florida, I don't know what they do, but they don't show up to play football. So that makes it even worse. And was this Sunday night? This is the Sunday night football game. So my Sunday night's ruined. Subscribe, like the video. I'll see you in the next one.